Hello and welcome to Noobs in Progress. My name is Nathan, and here with me I have
Ethan Murphy, Nathan Beatty's friend.
Hello, Ethan. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good, my friend. I'm good. And the reason I'm good is because you and I dressed alike again. I don't know how, but somehow the planets
Oh,
always align
Jesus.
for our.
My God, yeah. Collared blue shirts. My goodness. And,
Yes.
what's really crazy about that is that, for the last, 70 weeks, I've been wearing T-shirts every time we've streamed. And tonight was the night I was like, well, let me pull out this shirt that I haven't worn since I had to go into work. And,
And somehow, randomly, it just happened to fall at the exact same time. We both did the same thing.
Get out of my head.
We spent too much time together. As Nate's wife reminds us both constantly, we spend too much time together.
Yes.
And on that note, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing good now. It was one of those days that, I'm not gonna lie, today was hell on toast. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna, after dinner, get a shower, get ready, come on down here and do some Noobs in Progress. And it's like it's a whole different day, which is nice. So
I love that. I just said something similar where I worked most of the day, did a whole bunch of stuff. I rewrote some scripts. Actually, you helped me with a part of a script last night, and actually was able to kind of implement it in some way today. I had a few meetings, and then I took a shower, got cleaned up, and then did this. It's like I feel fresh. So again, we did the exact same thing, then put on the same clothes. I don't know what's happening.
Neither do I. It's this is our lives now.
This is our lives. It's our lives. But I like it. I like the bromance as it deepens. I like it.
Yes. So today we are here, as you probably can see on the screen for those of you watching. But for the benefit for our listeners, Ethan, would you like to tell them what movie we watched this week and we are about to discuss?
I definitely would like to tell them because I want to see your reaction when I do tell them. The movie we watched was Solo. And now it is considered Solo a Star Wars story. It's in that Solo the Star Wars canon as far as films that are not part of the direct Skywalker saga, but are definitely in the official Star Wars canon. So
Skywalker
Solo,
adjacent.
Yes, Skywalker adjacent. It's Skywalker adjacent. It's Sky. I guess it's Sky running or Sky sprinting next to it.
Sky sprinting.
But yeah, so we watched Solo. Now Nate, as the Chroma Keys show, Nate did not or had not see this film, but he has seen it recently. I've seen it before. So Nate, as we get into our our weekly post coital list, just real quick. This film, is it what you thought it would be? I'm just curious. It's off the top of your dome.
Well, yeah. It was essentially what I thought it would be. There was, yeah. I'm just gonna go with that.
Okay, it was what you thought it would be. Fair enough. Okay, well I will. Then that leads us nicely, or maybe not nicely, maybe rudely into our first question. Did it live up to your expectations, or did it fall short?
I'm going to cheat on this one a little bit and say yes and no. There were parts of it that did live up to my expectations and actually kind of exceeded them in some ways.
Oh, nice.
But then there were parts of it that did not. And so it was kind of a mixed bag on that one.
All right. And if I may, what was something that did, because this doesn't dabble too far into the questionnaire. What was something that exceeded your actual expectation?
The space battle at the end, like the climax battle in the Kessel Run, essentially. That was impressive.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that was impressive to me. And it could be that I was coming off of fairly recently the Amazing Spider-Man 2, where all of the special effects and fight scenes were just they were just so mediocre. Should not have been that bad.
Yeah.
Where in this one it was like, wow, actually liked it. Like I thought the special effects were good. Um, it felt like it was that bit that felt like it felt like I was watching a Star Wars movie, and
Right.
in like in a really good way. Like it felt like I was watching one of the original Star Wars films and like seeing those space battles and being blown away. Now in today's world, you look at those space battles and it's like, well, they hold up, but we can do better.
They're charming. They're charming.
Yeah, yeah. Where now, like it essentially like kind of held that torch and was like, yeah, no, we're bringing the space battles into into the modern age, and I really liked it. In fact, it was better than any of the battles with things in any of the three Skywalker Saga films in the just recently released.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rogue One has the best space battle, I think, at the end of that. It's like the whole not second half, but near,
yeah,
like about last 30 minutes. But outside of that, they've been kind of
yeah. The only downside to that one in Rogue One is that like it's just so depressing because like while it's cool and you're like, this is amazing, they're all gonna die. Like it's just like
and you're seeing them periodically die. What an amazing move! By the way, that person just died because that's well done, Riz Ahmed. Oh, by the way, he's dead. Oh yeah. Here we go. As Donnie Yen and his best friend, perhaps more, who knows, are awesome. Oh, and they're both gonna die, loving each other. Okay, so it's like. Yay! Yeah. Oh, yay! Ooh, yay!
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think the only exception, and I can't even call it a space battle. Like it wasn't even on space; it was in a thing. It was Poe Dameron's introduction, and it's right before the character is introduced. He's still up in an X-wing, and he's finishing off the last couple TIE fighters, and I have to say. That was amazing. The way they did the TIE fighter, like the X-wing flying in, and the way he was just like maneuvering it and swooping it in like a way that I had never seen before.
This was in episode 7.
7. Yes, before, it was in 7.
Okay. Oh, so yeah. So he was at the end. So because he was introduced at the very beginning when he sees Max von Sydow. So you mean the part later on, I guess, right before Finn is fighting the guy that says traitor, that scene where he's flying around, that part?
Yeah, I think I
think I know the part you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. Like they're on a planet. He's about to land. Yeah. Like they're finishing up a battle.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
And they're all like, oh, look at him showing off, and he's like shooting shit up.
Yes.
And I really enjoyed that. Yeah.
Yes, because as far as we know, we've seen him before, but we didn't know that he was alive still, and we didn't know that he was in the plane. So when Finn says, "Woo, that pilot can fly," so it's like that. Yeah, that's yeah.
And the reason I forgot about his original introduction is actually I was late to the showing of episode 7, and when I missed that part, I missed the very beginning part. I came in the part where what's his nuts?
Kylo Ren.
No, the stormtrooper, the guy, Finn. Yeah, it was Finn. Like right at the part where Finn, like he takes off the helmet and he's like,
in the desert.
That whole bit.
So you missed the whole awesome.
No. Like the part at the beginning, like it was in the middle of the part where Kylo Ren is just fucking everybody's day up,
Yes. Yes.
And I think there was a part in there, I think like where right when he gets into the ship or something, he gets off into the side. It was right near the thing. That's one of the first things I remember, but I had forgotten about the Poe Dameron bit.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. Okay, that makes sense. I actually did something similar with Up. I think I've told you this. I know I've told you this story before, but I'm not sure if I told it on this podcast. But I missed the first. I took a date. I was with a date. She was supposed to go back. She was supposed to fly back to a different location earlier. We missed her flight, and so we ended up. We said, "Well, why don't we go see a movie tonight?" And we rushed over to go see Up. We missed the first 5 minutes of Up. We're like, "Oh, good. It's a fun movie. It seems fun enough." I'm not sure anybody said they're crying. It doesn't seem that sad. And then I found out afterwards, the opening 5 minutes are the sad part. Everything else is just,
Oh yeah. Yeah. My daughter was watching Up a couple weeks ago, and it was after that part. Like it was but it was before he, did the balloon thing with the house. And it's the part where there's the mailbox and the construction worker accidentally breaks the mailbox, and then he ends up hitting the construction worker with a cane. And my daughter's like, she's like, why does he care? It's just a mailbox. And I'm like,
Oh,
so much more than that, honey.
so
You know,
so
like,
you said after the part, so she didn't watch that part either.
oh no, she had watched that part, but she's still
It
like,
doesn't.
she
Yeah,
doesn't
it doesn't.
like
Yeah,
death still isn't a thing that fully registers in her mind right
yeah,
now.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Yeah,
so
yeah,
like,
I'm curious about that. If
yeah.
kids watch that movie Up,
Mm-hmm.
what they think of that first 5 minutes? It's like, do
Mm-hmm.
they even understand what they're seeing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm
I
curious about
think
that.
like, well, obviously it depends on the kid, but I think like once you get to a certain like once you go down young enough, there hits a point that even if they do understand it, they don't understand it. They're like,
Right,
oh, that's sad. He lost his wife. Like, and then but
right.
they have no reference
Yeah.
for the empathy there.
Yes.
So it's like, yeah, that's sad, but oh look, balloons. It's
Right. Right.
there's like a dissonance there that's not their fault, it's their kids, or but
Yes.
and
Yeah.
I think my daughter's still kind of in that like I think she's maybe
Fair.
about a year or so away from being like, oh, okay, now I get it.
Oof. But
But
and
yeah.
on some level, that's you don't want her to go to that place. You understand that nice, sweet innocence.
Yeah.
You don't want her to understand the concept of tragedy and sorrow. Let
Mhm.
her be happy. Let her be happy forever, please.
Except but there is a side effect of that, of like, sometimes because of that they come across as little psychos
Of
because
course. Of course. Yeah,
it's like they're like, oh,
because they
like,
don't
oh,
have the emotions. Don't me think. Yeah.
yeah. It's like they see like a little like a butterfly that's, like, like obviously the butterfly is going to go. It's, it's hurt in some way. And, my son's looking at it, it's like, oh, the butterfly's dead. Smash. And you're just like, okay, boy. Okay. Therapy for you right now. So anyway,
Yeesh.
so what movie were we talking
That,
about?
I don't know. I feel my heart in pain. My heart's in pain. So, going back to hearts being in pain,
Yes.
we were talking about Solo, and actually, the thing that we're talking about your expectations, and you said that
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
so the other thing that you were going to bring up, I guess, was that exceeded your expectation. Was the effects in the fight, the dog fights,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
space fights? But you said that something fell short of it. Is it something that you can
Yes.
say now, or will kind of tip your hand in other questions, or will it be addressed in other questions? I guess.
Well, there were I can say that there were writing issues in it. Like there
Yeah.
was they tried they did some things that I felt they didn't need to do, and I think they also were trying to force some things that hurt the movie, I think, because they were trying to force it.
100% agree. Yes,
Yeah.
I 100% agree. Actually.
Hmm.
Um,
And we'll get
yes.
into details of exactly what I'm talking about later, because I have notes.
Yo, you actually have notes in a moleskin notebook, no less. So they're good notes. They're quality notes. Okay, they're expensive
Sort of.
notes. All right, fair enough. Now, here's the thing: did you see what you were hoping to see?
Actually, yes.
Okay.
I was hoping to see a fair to middling Star Wars story, and that's what I got.
Yes.
I got a fair to middling Star Wars story.
You did say
Um,
that. Yeah.
I like really in my heart of hearts, I had hoped that it would be an amazing Star Wars story, but I knew it wasn't because
course.
of everything. So yeah, I saw what I wanted to see.
Okay. And I appreciate the fact that your hope was measured. It was measured hope.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense.
Mhm.
All right. Sorry. What were you afraid of you were going to see, or did you see what you were afraid you were going to see?
Yes, because and I mentioned it. Because
Right.
I believe last week I said that bad writing was the thing I was worried about, and like it wasn't through the whole film, and that actually was a bit of a surprise for me. Like it was a
Yeah.
varying level of quality, which
Yes.
surprised me.
Well,
Um,
actually, so this may be a good time to bring it up. You do know that what happened during the production of this movie, right?
oh yeah, that's right. There was a there was another director attached, and then Ron Howard had to step in because of the directorial
And not just another
issues.
director. The two directors that there were Lord and
Oh,
Miller.
that's
Lord and Miller,
yes.
who made Lego Movie, which is great, and also one of our favorite movies of all time, Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse. They were
Yeah.
there
Oh, that's
on
right.
this, writing this, and they were booted. So I feel
Uh-huh.
like when you see certain scenes, they're like, this is really fun, really engaging, good writing,
Uh-huh.
pithy. It's like, oh, that was probably Lord and Miller's scene
Yep.
And when you see other scenes like this, seems exposition sloppy. I'm not sure why we even.
Yeah.
Oh, this may have been a
Yeah.
reshoot. That was yeah.
Yeah. It really, oh, jeez, that's right. Like now that you've reminded me of that, like it really makes me wonder, like not to disparage Kathleen Kennedy, but it really makes me question the direction she was trying to go with
Yeah,
this, with
yeah,
it with
that's
with
fair.
all of the films,
Sure.
because
That's a fair assessment. It's a fair assessment.
yeah, because even just the episode 7, 8, 9, that was plagued with director switches and things, and one director wanted to do one thing, another director wanted to do another thing, and it shows in the movies.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and then in this situation, there definitely was, like, obviously, Lord and Miller wanted to go another way, and she, because I remember reading about that, about how they wanted, like, she didn't like, because they were taking it in a more of a comedic angle. At
Yes.
least that's what the rumors say. I don't know how true it is.
Well, so what was confirmed was that Alden and Ehrenreich didn't like the idea that they were doing as much improv and having as much comedic elements, if you say, in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I believe what was somewhat substantiated was that he did try to show footage to Kathleen, or he did make Kathleen aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kathleen tried taking a different direction, or tried doing some different things, and Lord and Miller said, well, this isn't what we signed on for. We actually told you what the project we wanted to do, and you agreed to it, and we've been doing it for a while, and now you're trying to tell us to scrap that and do something entirely different, and that's what made them walk. So yeah,
That's such a shame.
Yeah.
That's such a shame, because I and you're right, like, because that was one thing that concerned me, was, or not concerned me, but kind of was glaring to me, was the variance of quality from scene to scene. It was
inconsistent. It seemed
yeah.
bizarrely inconsistent. Yeah, in the
Yeah.
same movie.
Yeah, and another thing that was bizarre is there would be whole scenes that were not good, but there would be one character that was really good. Like
Yeah,
or like one exchange within that scene that was really good, that was just like glaringly obvious, like, whoa, where did this come from?
that's so good.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
okay, well, damn.
Yeah,
We
and
could
again,
have
we
gotten
don't.
amazing Star Wars story.
Yeah. There's into the solo verse. But the thing is, I'm not sure. I mean, we're speculating as far as we believe
Yeah,
the
like,
good stuff was there, as the believe the best was. We don't know. Ron Howard is a great
yeah.
Academy Award-winning director. He directed
Oh yeah, yeah.
Beautiful Mind, Oscar-winning film, which I love to pieces. So you never know. But
Yeah.
it's just the idea that he came in, 25th hour, trying to salvage what was there, or read. It's like you're setting yourself up for failure.
Oh
that way,
yeah.
so.
Well, yeah, when you jump in on a project like that at such a late time, and the other piece too is, like, with A Beautiful Mind, that was his project from
That was his
jump.
from the start. Yeah,
You
from the
know,
start.
and with this, it wasn't. So he has to step into somebody else's shoes, try to stitch together what he already has. He also has a budget that has been half spent, or if not more at that
Probably
point.
more at that point.
Yeah. So, like, like, the only way he could have had a prayer at making it to the level of one of his other movies is if he had said, if I'm going to step in, you need to give me a new budget of a full film, and I'll use what little we can, but of what we already have, but
Right.
we just need to start from scratch on this one, and they never would have
Basically.
approved that,
No, of course not. But that's exactly that. You're 100% right. 100% right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is essentially this is what we got based off of the conditions that were established. So yeah, I get it. I get it. Now we'll get into this right after we get to finish the questionnaire. But you brought up the idea of a certain scene would seem really good, except for this one actor or this one character. We'll get more into that later on when I give my review on some of these things.
Yeah.
But question number 4: do you wish you had seen it sooner, or are you glad that you hadn't? Or didn't? Sorry, grammar. I have no idea what that.
um I I don't know. I'm kind of glad that I saw it when I did. Like, um it's not a movie that like, oh geez, I wish I'd seen it opening weekend, Yeah, it would have been a fun Friday night to sit and just watch. Would have been fine. Um But yeah, that's kind of where I land on that. It's just kind of
Yeah.
like, when I saw it was good. It was time.
Right,
It was
right.
time.
Right there. Just pat on the head. Right there.
Yeah,
Right,
just right
right
there.
there.
It landed in my life when I needed it most. Let me just put it that way.
During a quarantine for a required podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Good man. Good man. All right.
Yes.
And now here's the big question. Ultimately,
Mhm.
just did you like this movie?
Yes, I did.
Oh,
I didn't, but it's one of those. It's like the it's the classic Burns quote.
George
I know
Burns.
what I hate, and I don't hate this. That's kind of the way I feel about it. Like I liked it, and I liked it enough that if it was like, if for some reason it's just playing on the TV or whatever, I would probably sit and watch a little bit of it. Like, I might not go out of my way to watch it again, um, but I enjoyed it. I had an enjoyable time watching it. And going back to the parts about the variance and quality, there were certain scenes that I really liked. Like, I
Yeah,
really
they
liked the
really
scenes,
are.
and I really like. I would go back and watch like a cut of those scenes, But outside of that,
the Beatty cut.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the Beatty cut. So yeah, so that's pretty much that's where I land.
So I'm kind of around near the area that you are. I'll
Hmm.
address this question first. So I saw it very different, in a very different manner than you did. I saw it
Hmm.
opening weekend, and I had to see it twice because I saw it with one friend in one town and with another friend in another town with a friend of the show, Kathy Pape, the second time.
Oh yeah, oh
Both
nice.
times, yeah. She's a huge Star Wars fan. She actually saw Star
Hmm.
Wars Episode 9 with us, I believe. Yeah, but you
Oh
were
yeah,
there with
yeah,
us
yeah.
when we saw Episode 9.
Hmm.
I think it was her birthday actually when we saw. That's right, it was. It was her birthday when Solo
Hmm.
came out in the theaters.
Hmm.
So I saw it with her, and both times I saw it with my previous friend and with her, I fell asleep in the middle of the movie, and I
Ooh.
wasn't tired either time. What it really was is on the big screen. It's on the big screen. The way I think on Disney Plus they may have almost made it kind of either HD or whatever it is. The film looks very like smudgy, kind of like the way that it's like it looks almost like there's like a they're trying to make the atmosphere seem kind of grimy and dirty in this world. So
Hmm.
at times it just looks kind of like it's almost like sepia toned filter
Hmm.
Instagram stuff. And it just
Yeah.
kind of, and then also because of the way that things were going, I wasn't as engaged with the main character, with actual Alden Ehrenreich as Solo. He kind of
Hmm.
literally bored me to the point where I dozed off watching him
Yeah.
a couple times. And so that
Hmm.
was so I really really liked a lot of the things in this movie. I really really liked some of the action, like you mentioned, the actual part with the Millennium Falcon flying and things, the way the special effects look, some of the music, the part where the great train heist, that's a great scene. And the
Hmm.
music that plays there, especially once the invaders come to attack them, that works really well.
Oh yeah.
So there's you mentioned and Paul Bettany as the big villain, Dryden
Oh
the
yeah,
boss.
yeah.
His scenes actually are really well written. I wonder if they just actually kept what they had with his scenes because they seem very very well written, and he's
Hmm.
performing them very well for the most part.
Yeah,
So I'm
oh,
like,
yeah.
maybe they actually those are just the original shoots or whatnot. But essentially Alden Ehrenreich, and no offense to the guy, but he was just miscast. He is not a young Han Solo, and his also the characters' motivations as Han Solo don't make sense. And when we see, because this is set, I looked it up. Canonically, is that a word, Nate? Canonically,
Yeah,
canon.
canonically, I think so. I think it is today.
This Wednesday it is. This Wednesday, in
Yes.
quarantine Wednesday.
Yes.
So within the canon, this is set 11 to 14 years before Episode 4 or A New Hope, right?
Uh-huh.
And so this character is so lovesick puppy.
Yeah.
I think it's set 14 years. When the movie starts, it's 14 years before, and when the movie ends, it's 11 years because there's a 3-year time jump. I think that's how it works.
Yeah.
So he's so lovesick puppy, and he's not just lovesick puppy for a while. He is lovesick puppy for years after Akira. Emilia Clarke, beautiful woman, I get it, but it seems antithetical to the character of Han Solo because when we first meet him in Star Wars Episode 4, he's very much like a happy rogue, kind of like whatever. I don't care. He's very much chaotic, chaotic neutral. And you and I
Yeah.
talked about this before on the D&D alignment chart. We pretty much agree on that, and then later on that the movie becomes chaotic good. He's very much chaotic neutral. He's doing his own thing. In this film, he's not full blown chaotic good necessarily, but he's so pure of heart and so in love with Kira.
Yeah.
It's not the kind of character I saw Han Solo being. I saw him being
Yeah.
much more of a street urchin. That street urchin that's fine, but not like a so lovesick. I couldn't get invested in that.
That was one of the things that I had noticed when I was watching. And it was one of the notes that I made, was that he seemed, and I'll use the example of, there's the exchange it's near the end. It's with that pirate, the infrared pirate person, ended up being the young chick.
Yes, with the hair.
Yeah, with hair, with the red hair and kind of freckles. But it's the scene where it's the face off. They like those marauders appear, and you've got Beckett, you've got Solo, you've got the chick who I can never remember the name. You got Chewie, and Beckett starts to do the showdown, and then Han just jumps right in and starts talking, and that annoyed me.
Me too.
And that was one of the examples. It was an example of two things I didn't like about the character in the movie, relatively speaking. I didn't like that they were making the character like so naive and wet behind the ears. Like he was slick and like he was able to do things. Like he had that chip on the shoulder, was able to pull off shit most people can't pull off. He had that, but then he also had this like moony-eyed, like I don't know what, and it's
shucks, mister, I messed up.
Exactly. And then that's also an example of them trying to push a comedic moment that didn't need to be there. Like
also didn't land. It didn't land.
Yeah, no. It was weird. It was like when he started talking, I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, we're doing this. Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
exactly.
Okay. And then, it takes off and then he goes back and he's like, that bothered me. And I didn't like the wet behind the ears mixed with this cool, slick, like talking about how great of a pilot he was. And he was a good pilot.
But also that's just like, wait, how much flight experience do you have as a street urchin living essentially in the sewer of this planet that you've never left, which they established? Mm-hmm. It's like, how much flight experience have you gotten? How are you a great pilot?
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry. Sorry, go on.
Well, they did mention it was almost a throwaway line when he's trying to get in with Beckett's crew, and him and Beckett are having a back and forth, and he basically mentions that he was kicked out of the Imperial Academy because like he was on the track to become a pilot, but he was kicked out.
Yes,
because he had a mind.
The character, right? Which is lore of the character, and that's what bothered me too. Because the thing is, in the lore, so he signed on to do that, to become that pilot after he him and Kira got separated. Before that, he was never on the track with the Imperial. He got signed on with the Imperial Guard once that guy said, "Your name is Han Solo." That's when he got on that track to become a pilot. He was saying he was a great pilot before then, or he wants to be a pilot.
Oh,
so so it's like, wait, so you're just saying you're a great pilot, and you and it included, I don't know, you saying that you were on the guard to the track to do this. We haven't seen any of this. We don't know any of this. We're just getting lip service from this character, and that bothered me too.
I think that was probably a combination of the two director thing combined with them just going,
true. That's true.
Yeah, like I think they probably were just going, well, they'll just assume that he's just like a smart ass who just says anything to get out of a situation.
Right.
And then we'll make sure this throwaway line is in there to explain why when he does finally get behind get behind the flight stick, that he is good. And and it was just another example of them trying to have something without earning it. And
exactly. And that's that right there. What you just said is the biggest thing. Trying to have something without earning it because it's a prequel. and they say, hey, everyone already knows these things. It's fine. Yeah.
Well, that and that brings up another point of something that bothered me about this movie. Was that I don't mind when you're doing a prequel movie like this and you want to explain some things, like
Right.
the Kessel Run thing. Okay, that's fine.
Sure.
Like it's like they made it part of the story, so it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
The meeting of Chewie, I like that. I thought that was neat.
I like that too. I'm on board with
Yeah,
it. And it was done well. I thought it was actually done well.
exactly. And even the dice, like it kind of, like like all of that was fine. The back and forth between Han and Chewbacca about him saying, Chewbacca, well, you're going to need a nickname, man, because I'm not going to say that every time. We didn't need that.
No,
we did not need
literally, I have 7 nicknames for you. I've never said, you know what, man, your name isn't going to work for me. I'm going to start calling you this officially. It's like you just give up.
Yeah.
When a person has a nickname, you just call them that.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's my nickname. Yeah.
And that was the one thing, not the one thing, they did a couple other things that needed zero explanation.
Yes.
A character is named Chewbacca. His slick buddy, who's a bit of a con man and a fast talker, calls him Chewie.
Right.
No explanation needed. The guy just wants to call his buddy Chewie. We don't need a line about it. And there was another, and this was an explaining historical Han Solo piece of history, but this was another example of just bad writing, just shoehorned in for comedic reasons, I guess. And that was after the train heist, and they walk up to Beckett, who's standing at the graves of his friend and his significant other, his lover, yeah. And Beckett punches him, which like Han made choices that caused people to die. Well,
and also, he's still he's emotional. His lover is dead. He's angry. He's like, I'm
exactly.
Angry.
And they have the scene, and then there's the wide shot of them walking away, and you hear Beckett go, "Sorry about the punch there. Why? Why did he have to apologize?"
Well, part of it is that's 100% ADR, which means typically, this is probably if your profession. Typically, when things are ADR'd, it's like someone it's either the studio or someone seeing a cut and saying, "Oh, can we put a line in here for this?" So they clearly saw that and said, "Oh, we need to make sure that Beckett's still a good guy," or whatever it is. And it's like, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah, and I think it would have actually lent more credence to the turn at the end.
That's the whole, and that's the problem. They were. Yes, I believe. Yeah. So this one's like, you and I. It's the problem is you and I agree too much on this one. Yeah.
Well, but and that's the thing. Like I think the thing with that was they were trying to explain too much. They were trying to explain like every little bitty detail, both in Han's history as well as like little things like, oh, he punched him. Oh, I'm sorry, I punched you. I was blah blah blah. It's like, well, of course, your lover just died. You're gonna punch the person you might slightly blame for it. Of course, anybody would.
I get it. And even the thing is, even within that scene, he punches him. He says, "Do you have any idea what you just did?"
Yeah.
You just put pretty much the space mob. You just made the space. You put a bullseye on our back and have the space mob pissed off at us. Your daughter, your young, small, beautiful daughter, would get it as far as like, that's why he's mad, because now there's bad guys that come for them. You don't have to explain it as far as like, I punch you in the face. And then make exposition about it, and then they apologize to you for it. It's like, no, I get it entirely. You don't need to justify it or walk it back. But that's indicative of the entire, or I guess emblematic of the entire overall problem I have with some of the movies, some of the lines. In the very beginning, there's an exposition dump when Han Solo has the kyber crystals, whatever it is, not kyber, kyber crystals are for the lightsabers, but he has that stuff, whatever. Beryllium stuff. And he shows it to
coax,
her.
Something.
Coax cables, yes.
Yeah,
and he shows
exactly,
it to her, and she's like, "Oh my gosh!" And she diatribes as far as like, "Oh, with this, we have enough money to get off this planet and do this kind of stuff. We only needed $25,000, but with this, we have enough." And they literally have a back and forth exposition about it. It's like, okay, we don't need all this stuff. You two know this. We don't need to hear it. Then later on, they do it again. They keep explaining it over and over again. It's like, hey guys, you don't need to keep exposition dumping about this idea, this
Yeah.
scenario, because once you get to the actual gate with that woman and you show it to her, that's all we need. It's like we have
Yeah.
this is enough to get us. It's like, okay, we get it. This is a very important thing. This can buy you off of this planet. Cool. That's all we
Yeah.
needed. But the idea that they feel, it seems that this film feels the need to over explain everything to us. That was the
Yeah.
problem I had.
Yeah, and it was a very similar problem. Like in fact, you hit one of the scenes that I like, that whole beginning bit in the orphanage thing, whatever the hell that place was,
Right. Yeah.
annoyed me because of that exposition dump. Because the entire time they're sitting on that bed, obviously, like, people are gonna go after, like, the people are trying to go after him. There's a chase happening, something, they need to get the fuck out of there.
Right.
And they're sitting there and they're going, this is worth this, and we need this, and it's like,
Move!
get the hell,
Move!
get the hell out of Dodge. Like, in fact, it got to the point where I was like, they're right here, just right here, just over here, just take them.
they're begging for it. They're begging for it.
Yeah. It was just like, why did they do that? And it was obvious that, like, that first section of the movie, they were trying to explain, like, they were giving the motivation of the character of Han. And I get it, but like you said, it just didn't work for the way the character was when we come and see this character later on in the original movies.
Yeah.
There was no connection whatsoever to the type of, it was a completely different person. And that's, I think, what I liked least about it. Like, I think Armin Hammer and Fudgy Dudge, whatever his name is.
Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah.
Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg. No, I'm not talking. I'm not talking about the droid. I'm not talking about the droid. I'm talking about the Han Solo. He like, the guy that played him, he looked the part. Like he looked like a young Harrison Ford. Like, I'll give him that. You
did.
But it just didn't, like, the way they played the character, didn't work.
In all fairness, some of it is the writing. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But also, there's a certain, Joie de Vivre is just, he didn't have it. He didn't have that same stage presence or kind of that same charm. I know it's sacrilegious to ever think about recasting Indiana Jones, but one of the names that has been floated around if they did a young Indiana Jones or whatnot would have been Chris Pratt. I mean, now he maybe not so much, but in his prime, earlier, I could have seen it. Because Chris Pratt has that same kind of joie de vivre, kind of like, you can believe that he could get into a fight, kind of lose it, but still winning in a charming way. So he has it. Alden Ehrenreich does not.
Yeah, and I don't mean to say that, like, I don't mean to disparage Armin
Hammer.
Armin. That guy. I don't want to disparage that guy, but to me, the fact you mentioned Chris Pratt, to me, he seems like someone trying to be like Chris Pratt.
That's exactly right. He's trying to be like that as opposed to being that.
Exactly, because Chris Pratt has this, like the way he is in the Jurassic Park movies, just the way he has this, like, he can fucking control raptors, motherfucker.
Yeah,
like,
literally.
Holy hell. Like, this guy has his shit together.
Yeah.
But yet he also kind of has this, like, a little bit of the, like, there's a little bit of a, like, whoa, like a comedic thing that you just
vulnerability.
Like a vulnerability that that this guy was trying to have.
Yeah.
And Harrison Ford had that. Like, Harrison Ford had that in. Yeah, he had that too. Like, he had that, like, I am completely into control. What are you talking about, Jedi? Whoa, Jedi. Holy shit.
Yes.
Wow.
It was such a big part of his character that he did it as Han Solo, and then in Indiana Jones, it carried over there too, where he would walk up to a big guy, punch in the face 2 or 3 times, and that guy punch him and he'd fall down. It's like, that's kind of the whole idea, that he's a scrapper. He's more or less a scrapper, and you believe it. It's believable. So, and like you said, Alden doesn't have that. Alden Ehrenreich, or Armie Hammer, whatever we call him, doesn't have that. Other actors do, but he doesn't. And he was trying to kind of emulate that, and it wasn't there. It wasn't there.
Yeah, I just had a hard time with the casting of that. It just,
Yes.
but I liked, but the other casting in the film was great. I
That's the problem.
loved,
The other,
yeah,
I literally loved all. So we watched. I was like, you know what? I think I like literally every single other person, every other cast in this entire film. Every single other person.
yeah. Well, like, yeah, because like I think, uh, for example, like I love Woody Harrelson. I thought he
Of
was great.
course. Yep.
John Favreau, like I was
Yeah.
upset that
Yeah.
that character didn't last longer in the film.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. I
was
was
like,
too. I remember
please,
I was upset. Yeah.
please.
So he's very fun little guy.
Um, but I love that. I love, and what's her name? It's L3X9,
Phoebe
whatever.
Waller-Bridge. She's Phoebe.
Yeah.
She's Fleabag. She's Fleabag. I'm sorry, Fleabag. Yeah. And
Yeah.
of course, Donald Glover. Donald Glover. Every time he spoke as Lando, I laughed. Like, this is him. It's fantastic. That's the same kind of waist his hand, and it's like this. It's. I mean, yeah. Sometimes he leaned into it a bit hard. Fair.
Yeah.
But it was like it was still. It still felt more closer to the actual thing, and it felt because the thing is,
Yeah.
Donald Glover is a charming person in real life too.
Yeah.
So it worked on that level. So
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Well, with Donald Glover, I think for him, he suffered from the fact that a majority of his scenes were the scenes that I think were not great scenes. Because like
Oh,
I even made a
100%.
note when we got into when they got into the bar and they start in the card game.
Yep.
That was
Yep.
so
Yep.
weird.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
yeah, like it's like, okay, so you're gonna walk into a room. Like I know they were trying to show that, like, oh, this is his chip on the shoulder, don't give a shit kind of thing. But he sits down and he starts talking about, like, starts asking this guy, like, like other gamblers would be like, get away from our table. Like,
What you doing, man? This is
Yeah.
money. My
Yeah,
rent is
and-
on the table.
exactly. And it was just weird, like just the pace of that scene and just the way that scene went. And everybody knew where it was gonna, well, like they did the fake out, but still.
It's still the
Um,
idea. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I just didn't like that. Like that whole scene.
No.
And now granted, once L3 came on the thing and she was like oh, Olivia, like, rise up, my Droidian brothers. It was just like, hey, I like this.
So there's two things. I agree with you about the scene with the card and the gambling. What bothered me about that scene even more so was the idea of like, why would you have? Because it's like they have Lando cheat and win.
Yeah.
So okay, so he's definitely a dirty player. And again, he says the whole naive behind the ears things of Han. It's like showing Han losing like that kind of goes against the character is what you're establishing as a street urchin, but whatever. And then immediately afterwards, you continually emasculate Lando. It's like,
Yeah.
well, if Lando doesn't need to be Lando doesn't need to be with him anymore. He's like, I've won. I'm good. I can stay here forever. I'm a king. And then he goes, and then he's like, hey, Kira, how are you? Let me take around with you guys. And then Woody's Harrelson's like, well, if you be around, your cut's going to be 25%. Oh, if we do more stuff, then we're going to cut your cut down to 20%. It's like, why are you still with them? You literally have all the power, Lando. All the cards. You have all the cards.
Yeah.
Why are you with them? They should just have him lose where he was forced to be with them or something. It makes no sense. So that bothered me a lot.
That was another thing. Like they did the and I didn't realize it until you just said it. They did the wet behind the ears thing and like this, like I'm really cool and slick, but also moony eyed and with Han and Lando. Like they kind of like. Like with Lando, like he had a little bit of more control because obviously he had the thing and everything. But they like you said, they like emasculate him and they pound him down. And it's like, well, this makes zero sense.
What are you doing? Yeah, pick a choice and stick with it. And again, it's a mishmash of two directors' visions and scenes and everything. So it's like you can feel it sometimes where things were kind of patchworked, may have been altered around. But you also brought up Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and I love Phoebe Waller-Bridge's portrayal of L3, which is great. The thing about it is where it gets tricky, young Nathan Beatty Jr. III, is that it brings up a very much bigger issue or concern as far as droids and their sentience. Because if you're getting to the idea that droids are sentient, that's a massive bag of worms you're opening. Yeah. And the movie does deal with it more as far as liberating the slaves, the droid, quote unquote droid slaves, I guess. But it's like, is that what so in all this lore of Star Wars, we're saying that droids are officially sentient enough that anytime a person's on a droid, they've basically been a slave. R2D2 and C3PO are slaves.
Yeah.
Or now you're also saying that.
Well, I
Sorry.
was gonna say, like, or are they like, are these jobs? Like, you know,
Or
like
like
that's the other way to look at it.
jobs?
But, well, yeah, like you know,
Did they
like a
did they did they
C-3PO.
choose to? I mean, because they're getting paid. They're not getting paid for their service.
No, yeah, it does. They definitely went like I get what they were trying to do. I think they were trying to do the whole, you know, speak truth to power within a story, which is fine, and I think works a
Sure.
lot of times. But like, but
Yeah.
it's really weird because I liked that the storyline in a vacuum. Like
In
if
a
you take it
vacuum.
out, yeah, if you take it out
Right.
of the Star Wars universe, but by putting it into the Star Wars universe, you
You've
now make
yeah.
bad things of everyone. You know?
Yeah. You've officially made a lot of people slave owners.
Yeah.
Period.
And
Yeah.
that's oof.
That
And
is
also
dirty.
I do have to say, I do have a question. I really like that character. I felt nothing when the character died.
Same here. Same here.
Yeah, because it was done so poorly. Like
Yes.
it just felt like, in my opinion, like it felt like it
I know.
just came out of nowhere. Like,
And I don't even know if we're supposed to be like, oh no, and sad and tragic,
yeah,
as Lando's holding a space robot head. It's
yeah,
like I don't I don't feel an attachment to this. Even
yeah,
in the previous Star Wars films, when R2D2, a blinking, beeping robot, would get shot or something, I'm like, oh no, R2,
yeah,
you know. But with Feedwaller Bridges, I mean L3, it's like
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah,
So it's so again, it's one of those things where it's just off. It's off center. It's just
yeah,
off the mark.
yeah.
Just off the mark.
I felt, yeah, it's, and I don't know what they could have done better because like if you like compare it to the other Star Wars movie that was as Rogue One with Paul Bettany's character. Is
K2SO.
that, yeah, K2SO. Was it Paul Bettany who
K2SO.
did
Yeah.
that? Did
No, that
he?
was Alan Tudyk. Is it
Alan
Tudyk
Tudyk.
or
Alan
Tudyk?
Tudyk.
The Tudy.
I think it's Tudyk.
It's
I think.
Tudyk. Okay.
Yeah. But Alan Tudyk's character, I always get those two mixed up. I have no idea why. Um, but his, yeah, K2SO, like when he bites it at the end, you're like, oh no, K2, you know, like you're
Yeah.
the sarcastic asshole of my heart, you know, please don't die.
Right. Right.
And and that's why I don't understand how they muffed that, because L3 was an awesome character. I really liked her, but just the way they handled the reaction, it was almost like she was just like this thing. The character was just like this thing. It's like, ah, look, comic relief, dead. You
Right.
know, like,
Yes, and that's exactly what it is. They didn't endear us to her.
yeah,
K2SO, they did endear us to him enough. There's a couple
yeah,
of times when he's trying to do something or say something, and even though he's funny about it or glib about it, you still like him enough. You still see his point of view.
yeah,
And then at the end, he's made it clear, of course, that he has weird feelings about Jyn Erso, but he's there for the greater cause, for the greater good, and he's willing to look past anything, and he's trying to help her. And he sacrifices himself trying to help them. And you appreciate that he's making the sacrifice. And as he's going down, shooting, literally getting shot in the back, you're like, oh no. With her, it was pretty much like, yay, liberation, dead. It's like,
yeah,
there's never a chance
yeah.
to really feel anything about her besides that she is a loudmouth comic relief.
Exactly. Like, and like they did throw in like a couple here and there, like try to get, like have scenes with her and Lando to try to build
Right.
that. But the problem is that there was too much going on with the characters. Like there was that, like Lando wasn't the main character of the film, so they didn't want to spend too much time establishing a emotional relationship with him and his droid. So they tried to with some comedic things, and it just didn't work. And
And they got weird too.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
some of the things they tried to establish were about him being a pansexual or whatnot, which they established in the lore of Star Wars that he is a pansexual. Fine, no problem with that. But in this movie, as they're alluding to, it's like what you would typically have as a more tender, or when it comes to pacing of movies or stories that you're writing, the lower, the kind of the quieter moments. The quieter moments were still used comedically in a weird way, as far as his talking about his sexuality and his relationship with L3. So it's like, well, that's not really a quiet moment to really get, insightful on this character. So it doesn't. You're still not endeared to her or into him.
And that was the thing, like they because there's like that bit with her and the good looking one, and talking about, like, she says, oh yeah, Lando loves me, but I'm just not that into him, like they were
Yeah.
trying to make that joke, but then the very next time that you see them together is when it's essentially he has half of her body and she's dying,
Right.
and you're
Yeah.
like, okay, so was what she's saying a joke, or was there something to it? Mm.
Right.
But
Well, yes, and also we didn't get. I guess another thing too. Bringing back to K2SO, um, and I can't remember his. Oh my gosh, the actor's name. But in Rogue One, we saw him and his. We saw the two of them, the relationship they actually had in the quieter moments, as far as understanding that this guy really, their partnership seemed kind of similar to like Terminator and John Connor, very much a robot and a guy. With Kate, with L3 and Orlando, we didn't really see enough. It didn't. Their relationship didn't seem real enough. So when
yeah.
he's crying his eyes out over her, it's like we didn't feel, as far as empathizing with him for his loss, we couldn't quite get there.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that that really bugged me about that whole thing is that there was zero reason why that character had to die. Like, that
No,
character should have been alive at the end of the film. Like,
why not? Why not?
yeah, because like it's not like anybody's going to go, well, then why wasn't she in Empire Strikes Back? Like, it just, nobody's going to ask that question. Nobody cares. It's like, it's been a while. Okay, maybe she got rusty and he decided to sell her. Like, I don't know, but it just seemed like they were trying to, again, they were trying to get something
Exactly.
without earning it.
Exactly.
And
And they were trying to line up
I hate it when
parts
they do that.
because she is, I believe, in the lore of Star Wars, the L3 computer, the navigation computer that's on the Millennium Falcon or in the Millennium Falcon. That's her brain or whatever. And there was some people were actually upset, like, you monsters, you dissected the brain of this character and put it in the ship. That seems harsh and everything. So it's a mess. It's a mess.
Well, and that's the thing, just what we were talking about how, like, they bring this whole thing about droid liberation, and
Yeah.
then, oh, okay, well, we're just going to harvest her brain for parts without her consent. Huh?
It's like
Like,
you can't have your cake and eat it too, Star Wars. Or
exactly.
you gotta,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's yeah.
Yeah. It's, yeah, it was a film. That was a movie. It was a movie. It was a film. It was a movie.
No, that word is permanent now. It's a foom because if it's not quite a film, not quite a movie, it's a foom. That's
a
official
movie.
canon now. That's noob's canon is foom.
Noob's
If
is
it's not quite a
movie.
film or a movie, it's foom.
Yeah, it just, well, we didn't, there's one quick thing I want to throw that out there before we wrap up this portion of the show. I loved the Warwick Davis cameo.
Yeah.
I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah.
And I was impressed. Like, I didn't quite know how to feel. I kind of the Darth Maul at the end.
Now, do you understand that though? Because I don't know if you had time to even get into the other stuff.
I'm not as well versed in like the cartoons and all that to be able, because I'm sure because I know they play that whole whole piece as well. But yeah, I wasn't fully, like, I was like, okay, is this Darth Maul after he got cut in half or before he got cut in half? Like, because I know he comes back. But
Okay,
I thought
so
that
you
was
did know he
interesting.
comes back. Okay.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, because there were. Cause I saw, like I said, I saw it in the theater twice, and I saw it with my friend of the show, Kathy, who knows nothing about the extended lore of the cartoons and everything else. I guess he's in the books and stuff too, possibly. But so she doesn't know any of that stuff. All she knows is the films, the movies, like most movie goers, right? So when Darth Maul shows up at the end, she's like, "Who the hell is that?" And so I asked Darth Maul. She goes, "Yeah, I think he was dead." It's like, yeah, the last time he was in a movie, he was cut in half, very much dead. And now this movie, he's not only is he alive, he's running this gang. So it's like, you kind of, there's times when you need exposition and times when you don't. If you're going to say to the audience, this guy's alive and back and well and good, and you're assuming everyone has had time to watch Star Wars, The Clone Wars, or all this other extended lore, it's like, you can't do that to people. It's a mismanaged, it's misfire. So.
Or you could just be dumb like me and not understand how time works and like have the brain fart of thinking like, oh, well, this must have been like he must have like left that hologram thing and then did Duel of the Fates. Like Like, but it
I'll do this.
was.
Then I'm go to a day job afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing was that like I saw that and I was like, is this before? And then I was like, no, this wasn't early enough. Like it would have had to been like another 10 years earlier to be able to fit that timeline at least. So I did realize that, and then I was like, oh, okay, so this must have been in the post, like when he came back in the Clone Wars and everything, or whatever cartoon it was that he came back in. I so I wasn't like I liked it. Like I liked seeing Darth Maul again in the movies just because I think Darth Maul is probably one of the most wasted villains in all of the history of time. Like, here, we're going to set up an amazingly cool villain and then slice him in half at the end of the film without him having 3 lines of dialogue. You know?
Yeah. Because that's the thing, too. It wasn't that they just, like, dropped him off a pit that he could survive. They cut him in half, then dropped him off a pit. It's like, well, he should have been very much dead, and they they bent over backwards to bring him back in the extended lore, and it works. He actually is a great character there, but you're right, it's like they made sure they kind of closed that book hard on him being around. Yeah.
And in the other 2 prequels, they like are like grasping at straws for a good villain, and it's like,
no.
You would have had one if you hadn't killed him, you know,
sitting right fucking there. Yeah.
It's like, my God.
I actually thought that's what they were going to do. The same way with Darth Vader, as far as him being the dragon to the Emperor in the first original trilogy. I thought they're going to do the same thing with Darth Maul with with the unknown Emperor at the time.
Yeah, Palpatine.
And they said nope. Yeah, the Palpatine. And they said nope. So I was like, oh, shit. So yeah.
Oh jeez. If they would just listen to us.
Yeah, exactly. Why don't you listen to us absolute nobodies, in our matching shirts.
Yes.
But as we've said earlier, I know we kind of went on a massive rants about things we didn't like. There were things that we did like too. So it's not a complete wash, but it's but I think what hurts most is that it isn't a complete wash. There were good things about it, and it kind of there's a lot of potential, and then for it to still be a misfire. That's even more. It hurts even more. So.
And that's the thing. Like it's just the only thing that I want as a Star Wars fan is for more Star Wars movies and things that are good. That's all I want.
They're good.
And that people have put, like The Mandalorian, the Manda-fucking-Lorian. Like that show is amazing. And I want more of that all day long. Like, please just give me that, and
the Clone Wars. I know you haven't watched the Clone Wars, but Clone Wars also, in the wake of after Episode 9, they had the Clone Wars TV show had their final season, and the way the last 4 episodes played out, like an actual 2-hour film, that got the fans behind it rallied so much. It was such a great thing. So that was great too. So
yeah. It just that's all I want. It's not that I'm like bashing any of the people who created it or a part of it. Like I for the actors in the 7, 8, and 9, like I don't think there's a one I don't like. Like I think and I hope they are, like I hope that the toxic fandom hasn't hurt them too much is essentially what I'm saying.
I mean, obviously there's some like Kelly Marie Tran, but for the most part, I mean, Oscar Isaac has gone on, or he was nominated for an Oscar. I don't know if his name is Oscar. Clearly, John Boyega's got a massive career. He's become an activist and everything else. Daisy Ridley is getting more. I mean, she's elevated from making an appearance or 2 in a soap opera to being, one of the most sought after actresses in Hollywood now still. So yeah, it hasn't hurt their careers, and I'm 100% right there with you. The problem at all is not at all their fault with the films. Yeah. It's a lot of other things. They are fantastic. They did their job and then some.
Yes. Well, I think that about wraps up our post-game chat.
Foom. It's a foom. It's a
foom. After we've watched this wonderful Fubi, let's go. So yeah,
Army Hammer.
Army Hammer. Let's just confuse all of the audience.
Everything's gone.
But yeah, so I think that wraps up our chat on Solo. So for those of you who tuned in today, thank you so much. For those of you watching this video, thank you. podcast listeners, we really appreciate it. For those of you watching live, go ahead and don't leave. Stick around. We're going to be coming back. We're going to play. It's not going to be a very long session tonight, but that's fine because I need my sleep because I stayed up way too late last night after our session yesterday. But we're going to be playing some more Batman here on Twitch in a little bit. So if you're here watching live, stick around. But thank you so much to the podcast listeners. Ethan, do you have anything to say before I wrap this part of the puppy up?
Not at all, my friend. Not at all.
All right. Well, thank you again. And y'all have a wonderful day.
Johnny Sins.